I'm just here in Thailand on my business retreat, and I have some of my lovely colleagues here with me who are very kindly offered to take time out from swimming to have a little chat with us. So I've basically been asking them about how I need to be approaching how I talk to my potential clients, because I've been using the word stress in my marketing, and I want to find out from these guys if it resonates. So I'm going to ask you all the questions. We'll start with you, Trevor.
Yes.
If I said to you, do you know what stress is, or do you think you've ever been stressed, what would you say?
I would say the old me would have said no. I was from an era where you pick yourself up and dust yourself down, and if somebody told me I was stressed, I would say, nah, that's rubbish. However, I had an incident in 2006 where I just started the business a year earlier, and I feel like I coped with stress quite well. It was all going over me, no problem. And I was in the Maldives with my beautiful wife, and I stood out on the beach on the very first morning. I just stood there looking out to sea, and I genuinely, and I've never had it again, but I felt this wave just go straight through me, went through my body into the sand, and I actually then, wow, I must have been stressed. Now, I'd never admitted to that, but I believe, to me, that's what stress was for me.
So since you've had that incident,
Yeah.
would you say that you've ever been stressed since, or how would you know?
I've been stressed a lot more since, but I've been able to recognise it now because I realise that actually there is a thing called stress, and it affects people in different ways. But a lot of people, myself included, don't like to necessarily admit that it's stress.
Yeah.
You know, we brush it off. I haven't got stress, I'm fine, I can cope. Actually, I think we all suffer from stress to some extent. Some deal with it differently or better, or we'll deal with it in different ways.
Amazing. We'll come back to you in a moment.
Thank you.
And this is Julia, Trevor's lovely wife, as he referred to. What about you, darling? How do you think about stress, and whether you think you suffer from it?
Again, I'm a bit like Trevor. I feel that I strive under stress, under pressures of work, and we're very self-driven. So we've always been a power team, and we'll just move forward and conquer everything. But then, all of a sudden, I'll hit a brick wall, and then I get really run down very quickly. Trevor gets his colds and everything else, I get kidney infections, and I've had 4 recently in the last 2 months. And I know how stressed I am. I don't sleep very well, and that is my low point. And then I know at that point I need to break out, have some time to myself, reevaluate the reasons why this has happened, and then go again. But having that breakout is especially what my body tells me.
So you basically recognise then that when you start feeling that way, that you do need to stop and really take a step back from what you're doing.
Yeah, but until that happens, I'm terrible. I will just keep going and going.
So I'll come back to both of you in a moment, because we can talk about how useful would it be to have tools and techniques that you could use on a regular basis to help you, so that you don't get to that point.
Absolutely, the breaking point.
Yeah, brilliant. Angela, same question to you, my darling. How have you been impacted by stress, and how do you deal with it?
Well, I have been really stressed in the past, and one of the issues it brought up for me was developing irritable bowel syndrome. So I don't suffer with that so much now, because I'm aware of how to use techniques to control my stress. But in my massage practice, I've found that there is a lot of people, like Trevor and Julia have said, that don't necessarily realise that they're suffering from stress. Because there's good and bad stress. There's the stress that protects us. I put this into fight and flight to keep us from dangerous situations. There's the type of stress that drives us forward to achieve. But then there's also the stress where we're in it for a prolonged length of time. It can actually cause harmful physical symptoms.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Things like digestive problems, blood pressure,
autoimmune, skin conditions.
So a lot of people may not realise they're suffering from stress particularly, but it does leave physical clues. So if you are suffering from some of these conditions, very often it can be traced back to a stress-related situation.
Yeah, 100% agree with you there. And this is why massage is really good as well, isn't it? Because this is another good tool actually on how you can free yourself from those trapped emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. So even if you're not developing those physical symptoms that we've already mentioned, if you're suffering from tension in the neck and shoulders, if you're suffering from headaches and migraines, again, that can all be stress related, which can be relieved with massage treatments.
Yeah, and also, like you say, it's acknowledging it and basically taking time out for ourselves, isn't it? So when I work with my clients, one of the things I like to share with them is even just breathing. So there are many, many different breathing techniques you can do, but it's when you feel like you're in a situation, then instantly you just start breathing. A bit like when you do speaker training, that you change your state. It's about stopping and just take a deep breath in for 6 through your nose and out for 6 through your nose. And as you start doing that breathing, within probably 2 or 3 breaths, you automatically feel the calmness coming into you because it's calming your nervous system. And that's what we need to introduce in our lives a lot before you.
Yoga.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't do yoga. I'm quite lazy at home. We do our walks and everything else. But coming on this retreat, I've made the effort every morning to come and do yoga, and I can't believe how great I feel once I finish
definitely.
doing and stretching. You don't realise, like you were saying about the headaches.
Yeah.
I suffer so badly with headaches at home because it's that tension in the neck and everything else that creates that. And then just freeing that body up, meditation, massage, you know, there's so many ways that you just need to take time out.
And that is the moral of the story, isn't it? That we all need to put ourselves first, regardless of whether we feel guilty about it or not.
Yeah,
and that is
that's the
definitely the moral of the story. So thank you guys very much, and we hope you all found that useful.
Yes.
And we'll send you another episode later.
Thank you.